Hey guys, how are you all doing? Going to go ahead and get started on 31 through 40 here today. Number 31. Okay, so we've got a right cylinder, and it's got the dimensions given in inches. Okay, so what's the total surface area of the cylinder? So first looking at this problem, I start to think about we need to find like the surface area of the sides and then the bases separately and then add them together. But then if you read the note here, it says the total surface area of a cylinder is given by this formula. Okay, so they just give us the formula and you have to plug in R and H. R being 1, okay, and H being 3. So let's plug them in. So I got 2 pi times R squared, so 1 squared, and then plus 2 pi times R, which is 1, times H, which is 3. So 1 squared is 1, so this is really just 2 pi up here. Okay, so the second part, 2 pi times 1 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Times 2 would be 6 pi. So 2 pi and 6 pi goes together to be 8 pi. If you really wanted to do that with the calculator, you could type all that in and it would give you a decimal, and then you could type your answer choices in and turn them into decimals and see which one matches. Number 32, okay? So it gives you f of x and it also gives you g of x, and it wants to know the formula, which is an expression for f of g of x. So those of you that have had Algebra 2, we did this. I also do it in pre-calc. So all we have to do is we need to take g of x and insert it inside f of x in the x position. So I would have 3, and then there's the x squared minus x plus 7, and then add 5 to it. We should probably distribute here. So this 3 is going to go to everything. So 3x squared minus 3x plus 21 plus 5. And then add those common terms together. And that should be an answer choice. 3x squared minus 3x plus 26. It's F. Number 33. All right, so this shows touchdowns scored in each of the 16 football games in the regular season. They want to know what's the average number of touchdowns scored. Okay, so here's what we've got to do here. In 2 games, there was 0 touchdowns scored. Okay, so this outputs you 0. But in 3 games, there was 1 touchdown. So this will output you 3 touchdowns total. The next line, 3 games, there were 2 touchdowns. So that's 6 touchdowns altogether. 5 games, there were 3 touchdowns, so that's 15 touchdowns altogether. 2 games, there were 4, that's 8 touchdowns, and 1 game, there was 5, so that's 5 touchdowns. Okay, so they want to know the average number of touchdowns in those 16 games. So let's add up all the touchdowns total. So we got the 0 plus the 3 plus the 6 plus 15 plus 8 plus 5, and then there were 16 games, so that equaled 37. So all of these added together is 37, and I'm going to divide it by 16, which gives me 2.31. Okay, so they want it rounded to the nearest tenth, so we'll go with 2.3b. All right, number 34. Triangles shown below, what's the average of A, B, C, D, and E? So here's A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so 5 angles. What does A and B add up to be? Because the other angle in that triangle is 90, so A and B must be 90. So then all 3 angles in the second triangle must be 180. So if we add those together and divide it by 5, it's going to give us the answer. So we'll do 90 plus 180, and we'll divide by 5, which is 54 degrees is the average. All right, number 35. Let's understand the skill here. So we've got 4x to the 4th to the 4th. Okay? What most people mess this up is they don't take into consideration the whole number. So this 4 that's the exponent actually has to go to both pieces here. Okay? So I need to do 4 to the 4th and x to the 4th to the 4th. Okay? 4 to the 4th is going to give me 256. This is a power raised to a power. So x to the 4th to the 4th. If you have a power raised to the power, you multiply the powers. So I'm looking for 256x to the 16, because 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so it is E. Which of the following is equivalent to the inequality? Let's solve this inequality. 3x minus 6 is greater than... Something happened to my pen, and it is really thick now. This might be too small. We'll see. 6x plus 9. That's a little better. Okay. So let's put all the x's on one side and all the regular numbers on the other. So I'm going to do the left for the x's. So that's negative 3x. I'm going to take this 6 over 2 in the same pass. Okay. 9 plus 6 would be 15. And I'm going to divide by negative 3. Remember, there's one rule to solving inequalities, and that is if you divide by a negative, you have to... Shoot, I didn't mean to put an equal sign. If you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So it will turn this way, and that equals negative 5. So I'm looking for x is less than negative 5, which is G. Number 37. In the xy coordinate system, square root of 5 and s is one of the points of the intersection of the graph. Okay, of y equals 2x squared plus 6 and y equals negative 4x squared plus m. M is constant. What is m? Okay, so here's what we got going on. We got two things. One of them's going to look like this. One of them's going to look like this. They cross at a spot, okay? We don't know the exact coordinates there, but we do know the x coordinate is square root of 5. Okay, so what I need to do is find what the y coordinate is, okay? I can't find the y coordinate in this second equation because it doesn't give me all numbers. But I can find the y coordinate in the first equation because I've got y equals 2x squared plus 6. If I put my x value in, it's going to output me a y. So y would be 2 times square root of 5 squared plus 6. Square root of 5 squared is 5, right? Because the square and the square root cancel. So I've got 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 6 is 16. So the y coordinate is 16. Okay, so that's my ordered pair. Square root of 5, 16. But I need to know what number m will give me 16 on the second one. So I'm going to use that formula, or that equation, sorry. Negative 4x squared plus m. But I'm not going to use y over here. I'm going to use 16 because I'm looking for 16. Okay, because y is 16. So let's solve this. We can go at it a couple different ways. The way that I was doing this just a few minutes ago when I was looking over it, I didn't set it up into an equation like this. So what we would really need to do is put everything on one side. Let me tell you just the way that I was looking at it, just doing the problem. Okay, I put the x value in. Okay, so I put square root of 5 back in for x. Okay, I left the plus m. I left the 16 over on the other side. Again, the square root and the square cancel, so it's just 5. So all I have right here is negative 20. Okay, plus m is equal to 16. And then I can just solve for m very simply. I just add 20 over. So m is 36. All right, and that makes the problem way easy. So C, 36. 38. We need to find the cosine of z. Here's our angle. Let's write out that H looks like an A. I'm going to fix it. SOHCAHTOA. Okay, I'm looking for cosine, so I need A and H, which is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Let's label these sides. Okay, this one over here is definitely the hypotenuse. 4 is going to be my opposite, and 3 is going to be the adjacent from angle Z. So I need the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So I need 3 over something. Okay, so I need to do the Pythagorean theorem to get the other side length. If you do that, it gives you 5 because it's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. It's common. So I need the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which is 3 over 5J. All right, which of the statements is not true about the arithmetic sequence 16, 11, 6, 1? Okay, so arithmetic sequences follow the same pattern all the way through. So this one says the fifth term is negative 4. Let's figure out what the pattern is here. From 16 down to 11 is minus 5. From 11 down to 6 is minus 5. From 6 down to 1 is minus 5. So it must be going down 5 every time. Okay, so the next one, 1 minus 5, would be negative 4. Okay, so the fifth term is negative 4. That one checks out, so it's okay. Remember, we're looking for one that is not true. The sum of the first 5 terms is 30. Well, let's add them up because we got them all. I got 16 plus 11 plus 6 plus 1 plus negative 4. That gives me 30. So B checks out. The seventh term is negative 12. Well, let's do a few more. Negative 4 minus 5 would take me to negative 9. Negative 9 minus 5 would take me to negative 14. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the 7th term. Okay, the 7th term is negative 14. This one says the 7th term is negative 12. So that's probably the answer. But you know how I like to do these. This isn't taking me all that long, so I'm going to try the other two just to make sure. The common difference of the consecutive integers is negative 5. Yes, that checks out. We talked about that a second ago. The sum of the first 7 is 7. This is not going to take me very long to type in, so I'm going to do it just to make sure I didn't make a mistake. So I'm typing in 16 plus 11 plus 6 plus 1 plus negative 4 plus negative 9 plus negative 14. That gives me 7. So the last one checks out. So C would definitely be our answer. Number 40. If there are 6 times 10 to the 14th oxygen molecules in a volume of 3 times 10 to the 7th cubic meters, what's the average number of oxygen molecules per cubic meter? Okay, so here's the thing. The top number is how many there are in total, okay? And the bottom number, the second number, is how many cubic meters you got. If you want to know per 1 cubic meter, you just got to divide them. So I need to do the top number. Oh, gosh. Hang on. So I need to do the top number, that first one they give me, 6 times 10 to the 14th, and I need to divide it by 3 times 10 to the 7th. Okay, I can do the decimal points out, or legitimately I can just type it in like it is. So I'm going to type it in like it is. 6 times 10 to the 14th over 3 times 10 to the 7th. That gives me 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a 2. Okay? So it's definitely not J, it's definitely not K. How many zeros do I have to come back to get it in the scientific notation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2 times 10 to the 7th should be what I'm looking for, which just so happens to be an answer, G. Okay? Hopefully you learned a little bit today. Make sure you get this turned in, and I will talk to y'all next week. See ya.